Hi there. Another program present in the Bible is that of disloyalty to others, to serve one's interest, that is, in spite of whomever. We find that bad example everywhere, but one of the most famous is perhaps that of Peter, who denied knowing Jesus 3 times before the rooster sang at dawn. This is a peculiarity of most human beings, that majority of 87% who behave like cows, that is, following what the pack does, even if it goes against elementary principles such as loyalty, friendship, and other moral principles such as not lying or not doing to others what we wouldn't like to be done to us, which should be the basis of ethical behavior. The benefits of following the flow and doing what others do are neither good nor represent any improvement in anyone's life. The detriments that can be derived from being loyal and consistent with someone who has lost the approval of the crowd could lead, in the biblical case at least, to following the same fate as the friend who is refused and ignored for not being convenient. That is, being there for the good and for the bad, even if that coherency means moving away from the irresponsible mass and suffering the consequences that our friend suffers, or being to fight against the irresponsibility of others. Interestingly, that is what is rotten in our society. If the same number of followers attending Jesus' talks had been there to support him, to lift their finger for the one they followed and listened to, Jesus couldn't have been crucified. And that must be taken into account. It wasn't the authorities whom declared him innocent of any illegality. It wasn't with the force of arms that those who lowered their thumb decided to take his life. It was voluntarily and protected by the anonymity of the mass. Whether that really happened or not, which hasn't been proven, any follower of Christianity has read or heard sermons with those contents, and it seems that they haven't developed the ability to discern, because similar situations occur daily in which someone is criticized and their supposed friends don't say a peep, or join who criticizes without considering that doing so sums two against one not present. This is, they take part in something disproportionate and execute a betrayal. There were a series of experiments carried out by several universities, one of them Stanford, which, after having organized several groups of people and instructed everyone, observed everyone's reactions to the same circumstances and concluded that most human beings, about 87%, behave exactly as cows do. This is why I often mention that animal to define behaviors that are not typical of thinking beings capable of reasoning. Both sectors, 87 and 13%, live in the same space, in the same cities, nations, and planet. Some are represented as those who serve themselves and bear the bad karma of the diabolical things they do daily due to lack of rationality. 13% identify more with the service to others, which doesn't exclude the service to self, but only when serving oneself means dispossessing others of what is theirs. That would be the difference between the calf that follows others, that acts diluted in the group, and the individual. The individuals that aren't diluted in group actions, that respond to a principle of solidarity and to give to each one what is theirs. That is, those that act on the basis of natural law. 13% are doing everything possible to wake up the 87% and make them see that they are dragging this planet into a political regime that is going to transform our existence into a type of life that not even an animal with less reasoning than human beings would bear. We are doing this as we can, each one from the sectors of knowledge or influence to which we have access. There is no time to lose. Those who are implementing the New World Order don't lose a second in gingerbread. They don't stop. And those of us who wish the best for human life have neither so many means, nor so many resources, or so much time, because we have to divide ourselves between earning the bread and doing the extra to raise awareness of the rest. It is sad to observe the level of distraction to which the majority is going towards. There are people who would harm others to protect an animal and pass by indifferent in the face of human situations that should outrage and mobilize them, and in the face of what should be done to stop them from existing. I mean, those situations. The higher spiritual community of the planet is doing overtime to compensate for so much folly. And it is already well off of so many wake up said by people who confuse the data they have obtained with being enlightened. Those who spend the day saying wake up to others with data that doesn't even surprise anyone. Those are not awakened, but just repeating what they hear. And we have just about enough of this type. Waking up is not a matter of some hidden information, of knowing about widespread corruption. It's not about knowing what pedophilia is doing globally. It is not knowing about economic corruption, neither of inequalities. Waking up has nothing to do with this or with the junk television that is shallowed by 87% of the population daily, although awakening doesn't come without knowing all of it. Waking up is quieter, more silent. Those awakened feel what is wrong, encourage what is right with their thoughts, and create with them the closest thing to what should be happening. Those intentions, that creation, that will is what makes a human being a human being and not a bug with two legs and without conscience, repeating, wake up. The measures that the hidden government of this planet is taking are brutal. We suffer them every day. But there are other measures, and very different ones, that are directed to those who are doing the impossible to alert, raise awareness, and prevent what is being thrown at us. There isn't a single day when one of us doesn't come with that the computer has been hacked and all their documents lost, or their website, or have noticed that they are being harassed by stalkers, or have their work sabotaged, or their relationships, or their health, or their income, or all together. There are people suffering persecution day and night. A first step to meet yourself and start listening to what you need to do is to find silence. Turning off the TV and never use it again would be a valuable second step. Enter your home and appreciate the silence and lack of entertainment. That is nothing more than a waste of time, and for the most part, simply insubstantial. To put your cell phone in a drawer and not answering it until next morning, and only in case of emergency, would be good. And stop filling the environment with the microwave based waves of your mobile and Wi Fi. I don't have a television at home since 2012, and not only I don't miss it, but I cannot suffer the noise that the device makes when I cross it going down the street or going through a home or a pub where it is turned on. I mean, the noise is horrible to me. To try to have some hours each week to make contact with social networks through the internet could be another fundamental measure. Because we must know governments and political circumstances are just screens, appearances that don't even show the surface of the reality of this world. What we are doing here, or what are they doing with us? Neither are the politicians who lead these initiatives or actions. They are managed as we are. Security services are not there to guarantee our safety, and military and police neither. What needs to change is in many of us subconsciously hidden so that we don't have to face our decisions, active or passive, and contributing to doing the wrong thing or not doing what needs to be done. To begin to identify and differentiate your individuality from belonging to a poorly conducted and manipulated social mass, consider what would happen if suddenly Jesus or Joshua returned to this planet, if he really came before, as the Bible says. What would happen to him? Oh, I can answer. The same thing would happen to him, with only one difference. Those public deaths with blood inside are not carried out nowadays. But surely he would be sectioned into a psychiatric hospital where another type of torture with directed energy weapons would be applied to him. He could be given forced medication that could modify and diminish his neuronal capacity and could be abandoned there by friends, followers, and relatives, and denied by all of them as many times as they would be asked before the rooster crows and after. The same luck follows the people that are a threat for the government in the shadow. The cases of totally healthy and balanced people who are harassed and even forced into psychiatric stays to decrease their neuronal capacity are impressive. It is a method of control widely used against those who know too much and how to articulate it. And it is used to discredit and isolate them from the herd of cows so that the cows don't learn any of it. That is used a lot because the mass is still very short of understanding and steps back from anyone who has to do with psychiatry. There is still an interrelation between those whom tell things that nobody knows or cannot understand and their state of mental health. And that is just a sample of the most common levels of ignorance. Here, if the calf mass is asked, everyone will agree to say what they have been taught to say. That, for example, David Icke is nuts. Dear. In particular, in this case, David Icke has dared to talk about things that many knew before him and didn't dare to tell for not suffering the discredit of the mass. David Icke is not only a man of intelligence far above the average of the population, but he is an international, renowned figure respected in the spiritual community with hundreds of thousands of followers whom don't miss his books or his lectures. Of course, those who follow him have a higher IQ than the average, and that of the majority. That is not much higher than that of a monkey. He is one of many thousands of people whom are questioned about their judgment for having dared to think for themselves, to conduct their own investigations and accumulate evidence that they put out there for those who want to see it. And they keep at it until they see and understand what is this farm in which we live about. Who are the farmers? Whom are the eaters of the produce of the farm? And what kind of meat do those eaters whom own the usufruct of the farm eat? I will leave this just here. Subscribe if you think you can benefit from some critical and rational thinking. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.